Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Schulte. And, well, I told you I would be doing a series wrap-up after every series until the series were over. At least the series that had the Tigers in them were over. And this is the final show until at least the beginning of November when free agency starts. As the Tigers lose Game 5 of the American League Divisional Series to the Cleveland Guardians. My wife is happy. I'm not. She's happy because there's no more baseball going on in the house, but, you know, it is what it is. Let's get right to it, folks. First of all, I called it. I said the series was going to go 5. It went 5. And look, the two games that the Tigers won were extremely well-pitched games. One of the three games the Tigers lost, believe it or not, even though the score was 5-4, was an extremely well-pitched game, and it was a well-played game. The whole series was a well-played series. With the exception of a couple of games, an exception of a couple of... really just a couple of innings in a couple of games. So, we're going to go back a little bit. We're going to kind of go backwards. We're going to start with today's game. We're going to start with, you know what, we're not. So last Saturday, Detroit comes out and gets bombed 7-0. But Reese Olson goes 5 and really keeps the Tigers' pen in shape. Because they had Skubal coming up on Monday, and they really needed a big performance on Saturday. They got it even though they lost 7-0. And then Monday, Skubal comes in and is just nails. Just absolute nails. And Detroit gets the 3-0 win, courtesy of a homer off of Manuel Clase. And a late inning, that late inning homer carries them through. And then Wednesday in Detroit was just absolutely phenomenal, absolutely electric. The 3-0 win again. And then the wheels fell off at the last two games, but not really, because Game 4 was really well played. Detroit was in it all the way to the end. And it was just one of those things where you could feel... Jim Leland said it best in his interview, in an interview with Dan Dickerson and Jason Benetti on the Have a Seat podcast a few weeks ago, when they were talking about the 2013 Boston series. And he basically said, you know, you could feel the box getting, you could feel the top of the box getting shut at a certain point in that series. And I honestly think that there's two key moments in this series where you could feel the top of the box getting shut. And first of all, I'm going to say this, and it's not sour grapes. It's not me being overly fanish. Jose Ramirez, get over it. You got hit by a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Skubal acknowledged that it was on him. It's his fault. Accept that. Don't just walk down to first like he didn't try to make amends, like he didn't try to do anything, like he did it on purpose. Accept the fact that it was an accident. It happens. He's trying to pitch inside. You got a little bit too close. You got buzzed. Okay. That was absolutely classless on the part of Jose Ramirez. Skubal's pointing at his chest. Hey, I'm sorry. I did that. My bad. He just walks away from him like whatever. Could have at least nodded. Could have at least thumbs up, whatever. I don't know much about body language. But I'm just going to call it the way that I see it and the way that it appeared to me. was Jose Ramirez was just having a moment and having a little mantrum. And I'm sorry, dude, but no, you don't get to do that. You're not that special that when another person apologizes to you, you can just blow it off. Accept the apology, acknowledge the apology, move on. It's not personal. Tarek Skubal is not going to hit you with a hundo with the bases loaded in a game 5 when you're up 1-0. Sorry, when your team is down 1-0, his team is up 1-0. That's the game tying run that he just brings in from third. And you think he's going to hit you because you're such a good player? No. Tarek Skubal's as good of a pitcher as you are of a hitter. He wants that confrontation. That's what he lives for. He's a competitor. So to sit there and go, oh, well, you did that on purpose, dude. I'm not going to acknowledge your apology. Dude, get over yourself. Go play for the Yankees. Because that's the type of players they like on their team. I'm not a big fan of Cleveland. I've never been a big fan of Cleveland. But they've got better players than that. They've got classier people than that in their organization. And that was a classless thing to do. And maybe he came up to him later and apologized or whatever. Or said, hey, I saw you. It was the moment. It was competitive. Okay, if he did that, whatever, great. But come on, guy. Let's be realistic here. So the one turning point was David Fry hitting that 2-run homer off of Bo Brisky in Game 4. And you felt the Game 4 box getting shut. It was basically one of those situations where I knew right then and there when he hit that homer, I was like, yeah, this game's over. We're going back to Cleveland. I would have been happy to have been wrong, but I knew. I was just like, yeah, we're going back to Cleveland, bro. It is what it is. And then today, when Lane Thomas hits the slam off of Skubal after Jose Ramirez gets drilled and it's 5-1 at that point, I'm just like, yeah, they're not coming back from this. That's a gut punch. They're done. And yeah, they scored 2 more runs, but it was just one of those things. You just knew the box was getting shut. And here's the thing. Detroit didn't execute in this game. Okay, so maybe they still give up the slam to Lane Thomas. Maybe they lose 7-5 instead of 7-3. Maybe they still lose this series. It is what it is. But you got runners on first and second, 1 out in the first inning. You don't score. You got a runner on third, 1 out in the second inning. You don't score. That's 2 runs right there that you left out on the field. You need to get those runs home. Riley Green needs to make that catch off of the ball that I want to say it was Stephen Kwan hit. The little flare out to left field. He normally catches that. He needs to make that catch. Because then in the fifth, in the fourth, in the third, when they're coming up, it's not Skubal having had to throw a few more pitches to get out of that jam because he had first and second. Well, it was bases loaded at one point in the bottom of the second because AJ Hinch intentionally walked Jose Ramirez. So Skubal has to throw a few more pitches in that inning, and they're pressure pitches. So now when the fifth inning comes around and he's got bases loaded, 1 out, and Lane Thomas at the plate, he's made pressure pitches already. He may not necessarily have been as I won't say focused, but he might have been a little more tired than he would have had he not had to make those pressure pitches to get out of that bases loaded jam because of Riley Green misplaying that ball. So Detroit didn't execute the way they normally do, both offensively and defensively. And on the pitching side as well, to be fair. Skubal doesn't normally hit guys, especially with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He doesn't hit Jose Ramirez. Might be a different story. The game may not have gotten tied 1 apiece, and maybe it's 4-1 after the Lane Thomas. Maybe it's 3-1 after and it's a Lane Thomas homer. Maybe it's 4-1 instead of 5-1 because Jose Ramirez may have made it out. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hits a sacrifice fly. You just never know. But Skubal didn't execute pitches in that situation, and this game was about a lack of execution for the Tigers and total execution for the Indians. Sorry, the Guardians. Still haven't gotten used to that, and it's been 3 years. So that's game 5. The big thing that I wanted to point out before ending this podcast was game 3. And Stephen Vogt getting absolutely taken to school by AJ Hinch. Because he had to burn up half of his bench, or 3/4 of his bench, basically, because of AJ Hinch's pitching decisions and the way that he was handling his pitching staff. So, they had a situation where they burned 2 players without even having a player come to bat. Because the left-hander that they had started didn't get a chance to bat because at the end of the first inning, AJ Hinch comes out or at the beginning of the second inning, AJ Hinch comes out and brings in Brant Herter from the bullpen. He's a big lefty. So now Will Brennan doesn't get the chance to bat. They got to bring in Jackenzie Noel. And then when Hinch goes to a right-hander, they had to bring in somebody else. And because of the lefty-righty splits that Hinch saw and was dealing with in that lineup, and he navigated through them brilliantly, Stephen Vogt got taken to school. So, anyway, onward. LCS starts Monday night. Tigers aren't in it. I am no longer interested in baseball until the beginning of free agent season, until the winter meetings. So, not that I don't love the sport, but I don't care about the New York Yankees. I don't care about the Cleveland Guardians. I don't care about the Dodgers. I don't care about the Mets. I just don't. My team is my team. I don't watch other teams because I just don't care that much. So with that, we're going to sign out of here. Great season. I'm happy. I could be happier, but you know what? Overall, I'm very happy with the results of this season. Nobody expected the Tigers to get this far except for me. And I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the fact that we made the playoffs. I'm happy with the fact that we have something to build on. And we'll see what free agency brings. Probably not a lot, but we'll see. Because now players are going to want to come play in Detroit because, oh, wow, those guys win. Those guys put together a winner this year. They're going to try to do it again next year. So we'll see where things go. We'll see where things end up. And we'll see you at the beginning of free agent season. If you want to get in touch with the show, you can. TigersBaseballPodcast@gmail.com. It's the world's longest email address. I'm sort of proud of that. TB Podcast on Twitter. Sorry, at Podcast Tigers on Twitter, at TB Podcast, at tweezcake.social on Mastodon. And we will catch you, as I said, when the free agent signings start coming. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Great season. Go Tigers.